How now, brown cow? How now, brown cow? How now, brown cow?
Boogie bar, boogie bar, boogie bar.
Where are you going?
I'm gonna go to the peak tonight where you guys sleep. And then I'll come back, I'll wake you up, and we'll do it again if you guys, you guys want to get your...
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
do you want an
cool,
intro, or do you want like me to introduce Pablo, or are we gonna just kind of do that on the...
Yeah, but
I think everyone kind of knows who I am.
Yeah, introduce Pablo like we've seen him before.
I don't think I really need an introduction.
What's that? Introduce him like we have never seen him?
No, like we have seen him before because we saw him today. We saw him earlier in the video.
Mm.
Like this is our sit down with Pablo.
Well, I know that.
Can I what?
This is gonna be awesome.
Are you pointing at my nostrils?
I'm pointing at everything.
It's gonna be great. Don't worry about it.
I trust you. What are you eating?
I'm having more lasagna. Is this the same one I was eating earlier? Yeah, it is.
I'm having lasagna.
Oh, cool. Can I try yours?
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
I just can't help but feel like I got this shit out of this bargain. Like they get to eat dinner and I just have to watch them right now.
Yeah.
Welcome to film
goes
world.
with- yeah, it goes
the amount of
with the
fucking
job.
times I've had to film people eat their fucking meal while I haven't eaten in 12 or 18 hours.
It doesn't bother him though.
No.
When you did covered the paragliders in Alaska,
Yeah.
then you guys dropped the food stashes. What kind of food would you guys have?
Well, that was for them. That wasn't for us.
So where did you get your food?
We got our food airdropped.
Oh, okay.
Because they wanted to be self-sufficient. They didn't want us helping them. So they put food caches along the way themselves.
But, I mean, is that really self-sufficient? You go ahead. They just went with a helicopter before their trek, and you did it during.
Yeah.
Is there a big difference there?
I mean, it's the idea of, like, once you hit the go button.
And needing to get to them. Yeah,
That's
I mean,
right.
it added a total different element.
Well, yeah, it did, because they needed to actually... There may have been a better route that they realized along the way, but they were relegated to go that way so that they can get their food.
Can you tell me about the goal for that shoot? It was the Alaskan Range. You went up to document two
The goal
guys.
for us or the goal for them?
The goal for the athletes.
They wanted to cross the entire Alaskan Range in a Volbiv manner. So Volbiv is... Volbivy is like... Voler is French for flying. And just the whole concept of using your paraglide to, get from point A to point B, landing, spending the night, and then launching the next day to keep going. So it's the idea of trying to land in a high ground and keep going in a self-sufficient manner. So it's a form of travel. So they wanted to cross the entire Alaskan range with their paraglides.
Yeah.
Turned out the weather was really shit, so a lot of the time they had to hike, which made it a lot more difficult. Because in like a week of hiking, they could cover in like 1 good day of flying.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Were they able to cover about 2.5 miles in 6 hours, like I did today?
Actually, probably slower.
Really? At sometimes?
Dude, the Alaskan bushwhacking is insane. Like the alder, like, yeah, the bushes are pretty gnarly, and it's steep and there's no easy way to get from point A to point B. That, and there's a lot of times where we were post holding in snow, so we'd like go like waist deep.
Yeah. And have to.
You'd be like head deep.
I'd be all the way deep.
You'd be all the way deep.
So you have to extract yourself, take the next stop, go
Yeah,
under.
it was a really.
So
slow
I saw that
process.
film, and I saw the behind the scenes,
Yeah.
and it was pretty funny because those guys, were talking about you and like how hard you were working and the endurance, and they at one point said like they felt, like there were these big adventures, and then they'd see you, doing like twice the amount of work as them, and I've heard that a lot from other projects that you've filmed. Have you always been sort of that into fitness and adventuring, or is it something that's grown when you started making films?
I mean, I was a distance runner when I was in college, and so I think that mindset of, when you're at the start line, you know that you're gonna suffer, but you keep pushing because even if it sucks, and afterwards there's kind of this sense of satisfaction. It's like a type 2 type of fun. I think that's what I enjoy. It's like I love pushing myself to do something that's hard because it's it's gratifying, and I think it's exciting to do something that other people haven't done.
Yeah.
But I think it's also different with what they say about like, oh, I'm working so hard, yada yada. But I'm by far not putting myself at the level of risk that they are. I mean, they're really on the border with their sport. They're pushing their sport.
Yeah.
I'm working hard, but I feel like I'm making decisions that are a little bit more cautious than what they are. But it's what they do. They're professionals.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the big differences.
So this is my first day of mountaineering, and mixed results. No catastrophes, but it's been hard and just a lot different than I expected to, encounter the obstacles, and it's pretty cold too. I think some snow is going to come in tonight, and it's going to change the game here a bit. Do you remember what your first real mountain experience was? 'Cause you've had a few, I think, over the years.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about mountain, but travel or just going into the unknown. I think the very, very first was when I biked across China with my sister.
Yeah.
We had no idea what we were doing. Like, I'd never ridden my bike with all these panniers. I barely knew how to change a flat. And it was exciting and scary. And it was a learning process. Like, the first week, it was horrible. But we kind of learned small things here and there.
And you guys didn't really have a plan. I know you spent some time with, I think, some families. You had a monastery, maybe helping.
Yeah, I mean that's
what
was fun. Like, we had this shitty little map, and our goal was to try to stay on as many dirt roads as possible.
Yeah.
And it was nice because no one was waiting for us on the other end, so we can really do whatever we want. Which is fun. Like, we'd go out and we'd see a farmer and we'd stop and start helping and spend a few days working with them and hanging out and say goodbye, keep going. We'd see someone building a house, we'd stop, help build the house, and it was just fun because we actually got to know people in a genuine way, and I feel like they saw what we were doing as something that took effort, when you're on a bicycle. And so they would want to help. There's like a genuine welcoming. That was a pretty cool experience. It was kind of the start of all this, of wanting to travel, wanting to storytell.
Yeah, just getting out there and realizing that there's a lot of cool stuff to witness and experience. But you filmed that. Have you done anything? That was like the first kind of time you were out filming. Have you done anything with that footage? Do you have it?
I have it. It's just really poorly made piece.
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was doing. But it was fun, and I love the reaction I got from people. It was cool, and it kind of motivated me to get better, but to find a way to try to make a living, doing it.
How long did it take you think, where you were struggling trying to make that happen, and were there times where you thought that it might be sort of too unbeaten of a path to try to just go it,
No, I mean,
figure it out?
I felt really lucky. I had a cool internship. I had a lot of good mentors. A lot of people that kind of took me under their wing and, taught me a lot. And yeah, I mean, it was scary when you're freelance and you're, trying to make ends meet. But every year I'd meet more people and kind of build a network and get better and better. And, every year you just kind of grow.
Yeah.
That was like 13 years ago.
Yeah, well, it sure seemed to be working a lot. Since I've known you for the past 5 years, how many miles a year are you typically traveling? You live
A lot.
Live out there somewhere a lot.
Yeah, I'm on the road a lot, but I enjoy it.
Yeah. What's like? I think a lot of the times I've seen you and you come back from a trip and we've done a race or filmed together. You always seem to be saying like, I really pushed myself that time. Like that was probably the hardest thing I've ever done. And there's some sort of escalation there, and I don't think you're just saying that. What do you think's the hardest situation you found yourself in? Maybe most dangerous,
physically
or
or
most
mentally?
difficult? Yeah, either. What's the one you struggled with at the moment the most?
I mean, one of the physically hardest ones was that expedition I did in Greenland.
Yeah.
Because we traveled, several hundred miles with.
What was that? Can you just describe the expedition?
They basically followed 3 athletes, Sarah McNair, Landry, Eric Boomer, and Ben Stooksbury. And they kite skied across the Greenland ice cap, towing their kayaks, and then kayaked down the most northerly river ever kayaked, negative 35 degrees, and they were going down like 20-meter waterfalls. It was insane.
Yeah.
And we had just massive backpacks, and it was just cold, and Sarah's just militant. They were just pushing and going and going, so we had to keep up with them and then get ahead of them.
Yeah.
So physically it was just, it was a lot. But, I mean, I'm pretty psyched with how it turned out.
Yeah.
People seem to enjoy it.
I remember seeing some of the footage, and it's like a river but on ice, right? So it's just water flowing through ice. Had anybody ever navigated those waters before?
No one had ever been there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty certain that we were the first people ever, on that river, which was a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of places I feel that are that, pristine.
So they would have to hike out and sort of look around each corner and see what was there.
Yeah, I mean they were smart about it. What they would do was they would haul some gear, to an end, and as they're hauling, they'd be checking the river to see, if the river's calm, then they could go down with more of their gear.
Yeah.
But if not, they'd hike everything else.
A lot of work. Jesus.
It was a lot of work.
What? So besides filming me, because I'm sure that's the favorite activity. What's your favorite either subject or sport or environment to film? What do you get most excited about, in the morning if you're gonna go shoot that day?
Yeah, I get excited by something that just has meaning. Something that is not just some crazy adventure, but something that actually is it has a little bit more worth, in a sense. Not that adventure isn't worthwhile, but I feel like I get a lot of satisfaction filming a story that I know is gonna make a bigger difference. I think it's raining. Is it raining? Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, one of the stories that sticks out to me was a film I worked on called Life According to Sam.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
And I mean, that's probably the most meaningful thing I'd worked on.
yeah, that was an incredible story. But just like, what an awesome guy he was.
So you should just Google it.
Everybody should go
Life
check that
according to
out.
Sam.
It's
Yeah.
yeah, that guy will leave you thinking, definitely appreciating what you have. But like, what a smart kid! It's amazing. Do you guys have any questions for Pablo while we got him here and before we run for the tents?
Yeah, I do actually. What did you do to keep up with the folks in Greenland? Like, how were you keeping pace with them over land and then on the river?
Well, we did it in sections. We filmed them on the first part of the expedition until they got to a point on the Greenland on the ice cap where they could where they started kite skiing. I don't kite ski. So there's no way that we can keep up with them, and the last thing we want to do is like slow them down. So they self-filmed like the majority of the crossing, and then we met with them at the tail end in the transition between the ice cap and the land. And so from then on, we were basically on foot, and they were either on foot or on kayak. So we were basically just on foot trying to keep up.
Wow. And what about the expedition in Antarctica? I mean, I'm very curious how you even keep up with people like this.
No, the Antarctica was a big challenge because there were 6 athletes, and I was working with Cedar Wright to make a documentary, and it's definitely a challenge trying to follow 6 individuals, on your own. So it was just every day, we would decide like who I would go with, and they'd usually stick in teams of 2, and keeping up with Alex and Cedar was pretty tough because the method of climbing that they use is called simul-climbing, which is a very fast way of climbing. And so I had limited ability to film with them. I'd film them, on their approach as much as I could. They would self-film, and then I'd rely on my drone to follow as much as I could. Conrad and Jimmy, they were doing more of a big wall ascent, which was a multiple day project, which made it easier for me because they would have lines fixed, and I could ascend up and film with them as they're climbing. And with the ladies, Anna and Savannah, they were doing more of a like alpine approach, and so it made it easier for me to also keep up with them and film. So it's kind of different with everybody. But most of the time, like we'd be, skiing out, to the objective, and then coming back to our base camp. Yeah, those were really long days.
When you're getting ready for an expedition like that, are you excited about the challenges that the transportation and bringing all of your equipment around is going to take, or is that just part of the job in order to really get a good product at the end?
Well, of course it's exciting. I mean, every job is different. Every job has its challenges, and I think it's those challenges that make it exciting because there's no clear cut, you should do this way. There's probably a million ways I could have, approached Antarctica. Probably several more that would have been way better. But it's just problem solving, and I think that's what's fun about it. When there's no template, you just try to figure it out, and sometimes you fail, and you learn from that, and then sometimes you don't, and it's great.
Absolutely.
So you got asked to come film for that shoot. I think you had spent time with Alex Honnold in Angola, right? He kind of pulled you into that project. So what's the first thing you do? I mean, I'm imagining you hadn't been to Antarctica before. Or had you shot in Antarctica?
No.
So what do you do to learn, what you need to know to go sort of
fortunately,
try to master an environment?
I had shot in a lot of cold environments.
Yeah.
And so I was used to the cold. But, Antarctica's a very different place, very different landscape, and so it takes time just to kind of get used to it. The climbing was very different, and so you kind of draw from past experiences, and you kind of try to figure out, but it's there's always going to be surprises.
I wondered how do you climb down there? I mean,
How
so
what?
cold,
Yeah.
and you're trying to climb rocks. I imagine some climbing you can do with gloves, but I'm imagining at a certain point you gotta take the gloves off. Like, how is it possible to climb rocks in weather so cold?
I think a lot of the time, I think it was timing for a lot of them. They would try to hit the wall when it was the hottest, and I do believe most of the time they had gloves no matter what, which just brought on more challenges for them.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. I'm sure Alex probably took his gloves off, but they were always moving fast.
Yeah.
And that's what, in their mind, was safer. You know, their method of climbing, people would say is more dangerous because they're both kind of tied in and they're always kind of moving. But the fact that they're moving means that they're staying warm.
Yeah.
You know, in other aspects, like with Jimmy and Conrad, one of the things that was hard for them was, you know, they'd be belaying for like an hour, and then they'd have to start climbing, but you know they can't feel their
Sitting there
fingers.
getting cold. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was brutal.
Yeah. Yeah. Even today, I mean, it got a bit chilly, and just moving is totally different. Anytime we stop, it's like, okay, this is not going to work. But yeah, moving seems to be the key.
But you feel after only one day, you're way more knowledgeable about, or you'd approach this differently.
Oh yeah, there's
Right?
tons of changes that I would make, and
And so that's great. Like,
wishes that I would have for you
Yeah.
know, gear and all of that. But yeah,
and that's how you build. You know, you suffer and you fail, or you learn and you come back next time and you do a better job.
yeah.
Which is awesome.
What's one environment you haven't filmed that you would like to, and that you would maybe need to learn a lot to do it?
Oh gosh. You know, I've always been fascinated with underwater.
Yeah.
But I've just never put myself in a situation where I've just never gone through the trouble of learning, you know, getting scuba certified and all that. But it's just
Yeah.
there's so much to do. Like, there's only so many things
economies
you can do.
of time and money.
Yeah,
and
there's
all
only
that.
so many things you can do, and if you really want to be a good, you know, cinematographer underwater, that's another
total
investment.
focus. Yeah.
So,
We were thinking of signing up for a scuba certification. You're welcome to come back up to Seattle and do it with us.
Sweet.
Yeah, we're going to a race in Israel, and there's some scuba diving. We thought it would be
Nice.
a cool thing to tack on to the end
Yeah.
of our trip.
The underwater world is just amazing. Like,
Yeah.
I'm blown away. Like, the little exposure that I've had is just, it's pretty surreal.
Yeah, it's got to be intense too. I mean, some of the dives people on, and it's just scary down there. I don't know. Anytime I race in the ocean, it's the only thing I think about the whole time. It's what's below me. But it's better. Like, the buildup is worse than when you're out there. I think it's probably the same with scuba. Probably get lost in the environment a bit. Like here, you know, you're worried to come up on a big mountain, and then you're there, and it's just what you can see. The world that you're in kind of shrinks, and you just kind of handle what's in front of you. It's pretty sweet. So thanks for joining us on this first maiden voyage expedition. Hopefully tomorrow we cover a few more miles, but learning is cool. So how long do you think we would survive in Antarctica if you just had to give us an over-under?
Wait, with Jackson or just you?
Yeah, there's no way we would take Jackson with us to Antarctica.
You sold me out so easily.
All right, well, let's get some sleep and get up early.
Sweet.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, man, this was fun. It's always fun to be up on the mountains.
Can we just get on the record where Jackson is at the moment? Where is he?
Jackson's still asleep in the tent.